Only 2 games left in the regular season and only 3 playoff spots left to claim. Teams 7 through 12 will play a consolation bracket because NFL.com doesn't let me control how the playoffs work outside the number of teams. And teams 13 and 14 will have their seasons ended on the spot. I want to apologize in advance. Both of my dogs are feeling very active this morning, so you're going to hear some whimpering and crying because they're in their crates, and I feel very bad about it. In 2 weeks, I forgot where I was in the script. Anyway, all of what I'm saying is in our future, but we need to talk about the past, starting first with our Week 13 rundown. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. First, Nunya Breezeness kept themselves in the conversation with a win over Sir Nitz-a-Lot. Nunya Breezeness was the highest scoring team in the league last week, sealing the fate of Sir Nitz-a-Lot despite their third highest score of the week. The loss officially knocks Caroline out of playoff contention and puts her on the brink of missing the consolation bracket as well. Here's what manager Caroline had to say following the loss.
So we got the news this week that we've been mathematically eliminated for the year. We had a great team and our boys played hard. We had some fantastic plays. In that last game against Nunya Breezeness, I really thought we had it, but Catherine with a K's team just footballed harder than we did. It's not my best record, and it hurts after doing so much better last year, but it clearly just wasn't going to happen this year. We just couldn't move the chains. Maybe if Will Fuller had actually wanted to football this season, we could have footballed better than the other teams. Special thanks to my boys Diggs, Singletary, and Bass for sticking through another season with me. We plan to spend the next 2 weeks causing chaos out there for the rest of you guys.
Dizzy's Dummies took a hard loss to number 1 Kumquat Calamity in Week 13, pushing the Dummies to the brink of elimination. The final was closer than expected, with both teams breaking 130 points. Kumquat Calamity clinched a playoff spot with the win. And here's how manager Kyle felt after the win.
Yes, this win meant a whole lot to me. Us clinching the playoffs, we're currently the first seed. It really is it just shows that these guys put their hearts and their souls into this team. I mean, when I drafted them, I knew I was drafting winners. It looked a little bit scary when Derrick Henry went down, but we're a next guy up kind of team. We're just next guy up. If this guy goes down, there's a guy to replace him that's going to do just as good as him. Now, there's only one Derrick Henry. But, with guys like Jefferson and Deontay Johnson stepping up, I mean, how could you not win with those teams now? Obviously, we're not taking any days off. We're going to stay in this number 1 seed, and we're not stopping. Absolutely not.
Josie and 911 squared off in what was mostly a seeding matchup this week, though 911 technically hasn't clinched a playoff spot. Josie and the Pussycats took home the win by 20 points, securing the playoff spot for Natalie. Natalie moves on to face the Greene County Gators this week, and Rachel will face Kumquat Calamity. 2021 went out with a whimper against Get Off My Lawn last week. Between injuries, poor performances, and generally lower level players, Susan was only able to scrounge up 45 points from her lineup in her last effort to stay alive. Even with Daryl Henderson inactive, Get Off My Lawn broke 100 points to help secure the third available playoff spot. This week, Dave takes on You Shall Not Pass, and 2021 will play Win More Than Natalie. Speaking of Win More Than Natalie, Dan and his team took home a revenge win over the Greene County Gators. Both teams had great results from some players and bad results from others. Josh Allen's Monday night performance was at least good enough to give someone a win, as Dan overcame a 3-point deficit to stay in 6th place. As I said, he'll fight this week with a chance to solidify his spot in the playoffs against Susan. I think I wrote that. It's actually not possible for him to clinch this week, but he can get real close. The Pouty Puppies pulled off the upset over You Shall Not Pass with a little help from the Orchard Park wins. You Shall Not Pass came into Monday night needing to outscore the Puppies by about 7, but the Patriots' defense combined with the win kept Dawson Knox from delivering in clutch situations. Kathy moves to 6-7 on the season and jumps back up to 10th place. She'll need some big wins to get into the playoffs, but it's doable starting this week against the cursed city of ATL. Speaking of, in the game of the week, Kang and the cursed city took down Eric the Red. Kang needed the win to help keep his chances alive, and the loss takes Eric with a K out of the 7th spot, leaving Catherine as the first team in if Dan or Jared were to lose this week. All in all, let's look at our standings after the 13 weeks. They're mostly the same as last week, though Catherine, as I said, jumped up over Eric with a K into 7th, and Kathy took down Anna to reclaim 10th. Other than that, our top 6 stays the same with Kyle, Natalie, Dave, Rachel, Jared, and Dan. Our ninth place stays the same with Kang, and our bottom 3 are still Eric, Caroline, and Susan. We can't have our playoff spots mathematically settled all the way this week, but we can sure get close with a lot of teams at risk for elimination. Rachel technically can clinch a playoff spot this week with a win over Kyle, and she's technically the only manager who can clinch a playoff spot this week because at least one of the 6 and 7 teams is guaranteed to win with Kathy and Kang facing off. Catherine, Kang, Kathy, and Eric with a K can each be eliminated if they lose and both Jared and Dan win this week. Eric and Anna are eliminated with a loss or if both Jared and Dan win this week. Caroline and Susan will be eliminated from the consolation bracket if they lose or if Eric and Anna both win this week. So those are our playoff scenarios to keep in mind moving into week 14. The rest will be settled at the end. For now, let's take a look at our roster changes between last Thursday and now. Rachel picked up Brett Maher. I would have pronounced it Mayer, but I think Joe Buck or someone call him Maher, and dropped the Bears for the 49ers defense. Anna dropped the Packers defense to pick up the Chargers and dropped kicker Graham Gano for wide receiver Kenny Golladay. Kang dropped the Browns, Robert Woods, Jamal Agnew to pick up the Chiefs defense, Odell Beckham Jr., and Curtis Samuel. Kyle dropped Deontay Foreman to pick up Ronald Jones, then immediately dropped Ronald Jones to pick up the Packers defense. Susan dropped Sam Darnold to pick up Tyrod Taylor. Dan dropped Mason Crosby for Matt Gay. Dropped T.Y. Hilton for Robert Woods, who is out for the season. I don't know if you saw that he was out for the season, but he is. So whatever you want to do with that. He also picked up Amir Abdullah. Jared dropped Jordan Howard to pick up Devontae Parker, who returned from injury recently, and dropped Adrian Peterson to pick up Deontay Foreman. He also dropped Pat Fryermuth to pick up Mason Crosby. Natalie dropped kicker Kaimi Fairbairn for Gardner Minshew last week, and then after the week dropped Gardner Minshew to pick up Teddy Bridgewater with the Eagles quarterbacks on bye. Kathy dropped KJ Osborne and Carson Wentz to pick up DJ Dallas. She also dropped Logan Thomas to pick up the Panthers defense. Eric dropped the Bucks to pick up the Seahawks defense, and Eric with a K dropped Heineke for the Broncos and dropped the Eagles to pick up Jermichael Hasty. Those are all the roster moves as of this morning. I'm looking at it right now. I promise it's accurate as of 7:43 a.m. Eastern Time. So let's go ahead and look at our matchups this week. I didn't write scripts for these because I didn't have time, so I'm just going to pick a random one and talk about it. Starting with Kathy versus Kang. Both teams stand at 6 and 7 this week. This is their second of 2 matchups this season. Kang took the first one. Let me take a look at this actual game center to give you a better idea of what's going on. The games are already underway. Pardon me. Chris City of ATL got a huge week from Najee Harris last night. 2 touchdowns. He's up 25.4 points. Greg Joseph and Tyler Conklin combined for 16 for Kathy. As of right now, the live projection has the Curse City of ATL taking it 102.34 to 93.5 with Jonnu Smith on bye. So Kang can pick up even more points if he makes a move at tight end. Up next, we've got Kumquat Calamity taking on 911 What's Your Emergency? And this one is also off to a rough start. Rachel's got Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman out on bye. She's got to make moves for those. Looks like probably Ty Johnson and Russell Gage are her first options. Pardon me. Kyle's got 35.8 on the board already between Justin Jefferson and Deontay Johnson, who both played last night. And he currently is projected to take it 117.8 to 80.13. That is pending any roster changes that Rachel makes to fill in for Taylor and Pittman. Up next, Dave taking on Jared. Get Off My Lawn versus You Shall Not Pass. 2 teams in playoff contention. Jared got off to a huge start last night. Dalvin Cook with 200 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns for 35.2 points. Gives him a huge lead going into the weekend, and he's projected to take this one as of right now 136.3 to 112.96. Up next, the Greene County Gators fighting for their lives against Josie and the Pussycats. Had a great start last night. Chase Claypool with 93 yards. on, what's the math on that? 8 catches for 17.5 points. As of right now, the projection goes my way, as does the lifetime record. I'm up 6-4 on Natalie all time. And I will be fighting to get to 6-8, with Natalie having already clinched a playoff position. Right now, the live projections say it's me 113.93 over Natalie 109.35. Let me click over here. Up next, we've got Anna versus Caroline. These two teams have played 4 times and they've split evenly. It's 2-2 for both. Sir Nitsalot and Dizzy's Dummies. Neither team has any players in Thursday night's game, so they're still dead even. Caroline does have Kendrick Bourne in her lineup. He is on a bye this week with the Patriots. She can replace him with, he's at the flex spot, so Devin Singletary, Robbie Anderson, Mike Davis, or AJ Green, all good options to come in and fill that spot. And when she does that, she will take a lead in the projections, as right now it's only 108 Anna to 107 Caroline. And as I said, that'll obviously change when she fills in that spot. Up next, Nunya Breezen is taking on Eric the Red this week. A huge one. This is number 7 versus number 8. They have not started yet, but the lineups are set. Pardon me. These teams have not faced off at all this year. It is, let me see, we've got Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Burrow, Alvin Kamara and Elijah Mitchell against Antonio Gibson, Chuba Hubbard. As of right now, Eric with a K projected to take it 113 to 105. Not seeing any obvious roster changes either, so this looks like it'll go the way of Eric with a K if nothing drastic happens. And finally, Susan taking on Dan, the two of the longest, not the two longest, two very long names. And this one's looking rough already. 2021 had Chris Boswell and the Steelers defense playing last night, and they combined for a total of 2 points, with Boswell missing a field goal and the Steelers giving up 36 points to the Vikings in their loss. As of right now, the projections are looking rough. Dan's looking at about 120 points, and 2021 is looking at 74.40. I think I covered all 7 matchups. Let me look through that one. Yeah, we got them all. That is all for week 14. Everything will be decided next week. I'll talk about it when it happens. I didn't get press conference clips from everybody, but I'm happy with the ones I did get. That's on me. I didn't follow up with anybody to clear things up and get those, but hopefully we can get a couple more. And then we'll get our puppies involved in the playoffs to see who they feel is going to take it all, who's going to bring home the bones, if you will. Until then, I'll see you next week. Who did the Bills play this week? The Bucks? It's the Bucks, isn't it? Oh, it is. All right. Go Bills.